I got a few comments asking how I make my beaded pins and keychains. So here is an upgraded tutorial where I teach the basics of bead stitching. After this, you should be able to make anything with beads. You'll need 2mm Delica beads, a needle and thread. I use basic sewing thread, and scissors. If you want to make it into a pin, you also need felt, pins, and glue. For this tutorial, I'll use pony beads and yarn to make it easier to see on camera. This is the pattern I'll be following. Most people start with a ladder stitch like this, but it's not as stable and it's harder to hold on to. But I start with 2 rows at the same time. It makes it much more sturdy. Then every row after that is very simple. For the full pattern, you'll need 44 black, 50 white, 24 pink, 21 purple, and 15 blue beads. Okay, so you always start from the 2 middle columns or the 2 tallest ones. We'll start at the bottom with these 3 beads. Put them on your needle in this order and bring them to the end of the thread, but leave a few cm tail at the end so that they don't slide off. Next, you'll bring the needle back into the last bead on the thread and pull. It might be a bit weird at first, but just move it around and it should look like a little pyramid. Now that we have the base, we'll start adding the rest of the beads one by one, following the pattern like this. The next bead is white, so put it on the needle and bring it down through the black bead. This bead will now go up through the previous bead. Continue like this until you finish the 2 columns. Done. Now that we'll be working from left to right, make sure the needle is coming out of the right side. Now that we've finished these 2 lines, I can show you how to do a regular column. The first column will start with an increase. There are 2 kinds of increases, one at the start of the column and one at the end. I'll show you both. From there, every column is worked up and down like this. For an increase at the start, add 2 beads on your needle, following the pattern, and go under the first thread bridge. Then bring the needle up through the second bead only, and make sure not to go back under the bridge accidentally. For all the other beads, just add 1 bead, and do the same thing, go under the next bridge, and up through the bead following the bead colors on the pattern. Before we move on to the next row, we need to get rid of this thread tail. Thread it onto the needle and weave it through the beads to secure it, then cut the rest off. Okay, now I'll show you how to increase at the end of a column. It's simple. Once you come to the end of the column, just add another bead on the needle and go under the same thread bridge and up through the bead. Now that this thread is getting too short, do the same thing you did with the tail. Weave it in, then cut it. It's a similar method to add new thread. Since we finished on this bead, we need to make sure the new thread comes out of here too. It doesn't matter where you start as long as you end up out of that bead. Go into any bead and weave it randomly until it's secure, then make your way up to your starting bead and cut off the excess. Now continue like normal until you get to the end. Now that we're at the last row, you can see that there is a decrease. Decreasing is even easier to do. Just weave the thread below until you make it up to the bead that you need to start with. Then continue like normal. So we finished the right side. Now weave the thread to the top of the left side and use all the things I taught you to complete it. Good luck. Here's the end result. And here's what it looks like with the Delica beads. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.